publicized description of the Baloch rebellion in recent times. The state of Baloch rebellion.
Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim to attack an American aircraft carrier group twice within 24 hours, calling it a retaliation for deadly US strikes that killed at least 53 people. Syria accuses Lebanon's Hezbollah group of abducting and killing 3 of its soldiers. Hezbollah denies any involvement in clashes with Syrian security forces. President Volodymyr Zelensky replaces the Chief of General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces. Zelensky says the decision is to bring more combat experience as Kiev's frontline troops continue to struggle. Niger's junta expels 3 Chinese oil executives and shuts down a Chinese-run hotel for allegedly ignoring demands to ensure local benefits from oil extraction, as per reports. A South Korean military drone collides with a stationary helicopter at an airfield, sparking a fire that was extinguished within 20 minutes without any casualties, according to the authorities. Hello and welcome. We begin with the ongoing US-South Africa tensions, which have now reached their peak as Washington has expelled South Africa's ambassador. South Africa announced on Saturday that its US ambassador had been given a 72-hour ultimatum to leave the country. Now, this comes after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio accused him of being a race-baiting politician who hates America and hates Trump in a post on X. Now, Rubio reposted an article quoting the envoy as saying Trump was leading a white supremacist movement. Reposting it, Rubio declared that Rasool was no longer welcome in the United States. The expelled envoy, Ebrahim Rasool, is a former anti-apartheid campaigner and an ally of Nelson Mandela. He previously served as South Africa's ambassador to the US from 2010 to 2015. Now, this was during Barack Obama's presidency. Now, he was reappointed in 2024 due to his previous experience and extensive network of Washington contacts. South Africa has called the decision to expel Rasool regrettable. An official statement from President Cyril Ramaphosa's office urges diplomatic decorum between the two nations. Meanwhile, opposition parties in South Africa have called on the president not to be bullied by the US. South Africa's Minister of Internal Relations has said that it's not helpful to engage in Twitter diplomacy and that the two countries need to engage face-to-face. The expulsion of Rasool adds to the escalating tensions between Washington and Pretoria. Last month, President Trump froze US aid to South Africa, citing a law that he claims allows the seizure of land from white farmers. He further heightened tensions, saying that South African farmers would be welcome to settle in the United States. repeating his accusations that the government is confiscating land from white citizens. And the South African government has repeatedly clarified that the newly signed law does not allow forceful seizures. But critics remain unconvinced. Now, Trump's ally, tech billionaire Elon Musk, a South African-born entrepreneur, has often accused Pretoria of having racist ownership laws and claims that the government is failing to prevent what he calls a genocide against white farmers. It is believed that Trump has been advised by Musk and is echoing his views. Musk, who now heads the Department of Government Efficiency, has been vocal on the issue. Now, as tensions continue to escalate in Trump's second term, Pretoria has attempted to extend an olive branch. But it seems that the Trump era will continue to bring rough waters ahead for South Africa. As US-South Africa tensions hit rock bottom, another African nation is locking horns with Washington. While the US calls South Africa's land reforms anti-white, it is now accusing Nigeria of persecuting Christians. Now, these claims were made in the US Congress, where Republican Congressman Chris Smith called for Nigeria to be listed as a country of particular concern, or CPC, in terms of religious freedom. Smith cited a recent report by the Christian charity Open Doors, which claims that 89% of Christians persecuted worldwide are in one country, Nigeria. Abuja could face sanctions if the US State Department agrees with the designation. Nigeria was placed on the CPC list during Donald Trump's first term as US President in 2020, but his successor, Joe Biden, removed the designation the following year. Now, Nigeria could be back on the list in Trump's second term. Nigeria's government, led by President Bola Tinubu, has strongly denied the claims from the US Congress. It has expressed deep concern over what it calls misinformation and misleading reports. Nigeria insists that the widespread insecurity and attacks are not driven by religious bias or targeted against any particular faith. Abuja has clarified that the attacks occur predominantly in the Muslim northern region of Nigeria and do not specifically target any religious group. Nigeria is almost evenly divided between a Muslim-majority north and a largely Christian south. Its northeast has been in the grip of jihadist violence for more than 15 years, carried out by the Islamist group Boko Haram, which has claimed more than 40,000 lives and displaced 2 million people. At the same time, large parts of the northwest, north and central regions have been hit by criminal gangs known as bandits. Now, these bandits attack villages, killing and kidnapping the residents. Then there are also frequent clashes between the Fulani herders and the farmers over land and resources. Officials say that while most farmers are Christian and most herders are Muslim, so it is not just one community that is being attacked. While for Joe Biden, Nigeria did not meet the legal threshold to be designated as a country of particular concern in the US annual religious freedom list, will Trump take Abuja's concerns into account? Or, much like South Africa, will his administration usher in a new era of tensions for Nigeria? Now, as the Trump administration's feud with African nations intensifies, another policy is making headlines. The White House is considering a major expansion of travel restrictions, one that could affect millions across multiple continents, and Africa could be the hardest hit. Now, the proposed policy aims to tighten security and immigration controls, but it's already raising concerns about fairness and global relations. Which countries are on the list, and what could this mean for US-Africa ties? Our next report has all the details.
A new travel ban by the United States could soon take effect, one that would impact millions worldwide. The Trump administration is considering sweeping travel restrictions. And among the hardest hit regions is Africa, with 22 nations on the list. Reports indicate the US is weighing a major crackdown on travel from at least 41 countries, citing illegal immigration concerns and national security risks. If implemented, this policy could block or restrict visas for entire nations, making it much harder for people to visit, work, or study in the United States. The proposed travel ban divides countries into 3 categories, each with different levels of restrictions. The first division is the red category. This means no visas and no entry into the United States at all. Libya, Somalia, and Sudan are on this list. Next comes the orange category. These countries face restrictions on tourist, student, and some immigrant visas, but with a few exceptions. Eritrea, South Sudan, and Sierra Leone are likely to be affected. The third one is the yellow category. These countries have 60 days to meet US security requirements or face stricter visa bans. Countries at risk include Angola, Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, Cameroon, Chad, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Equatorial Guinea, the Gambia, Liberia, Benin, Republic of Congo, Malawi, Mali, Mauritania, Sao Tome and Principe, and Zimbabwe. The move rekindles memories of Trump's first-term travel ban, initially targeting 7 Muslim-majority nations before facing legal challenges and ultimately being upheld by the US Supreme Court in 2018. On his first day back in office, Trump signed an executive order requiring intensified security vetting for foreign travelers. The order directs cabinet members to submit by March 21st a list of countries facing partial or full travel suspensions. Many of the countries targeted share common traits. They are majority Muslim or non-white and often struggle with economic instability or weak governance. Some aren't even US allies. Meanwhile, the timing is also raising eyebrows. Just weeks ago, another controversial visa policy made headlines. The Trump administration excluded all 54 African nations from the 2025 US visa waiver program, while granting visa-free entry to 40 mostly allied countries. The White House has yet to officially approve the list, and it could still change. But as China and Russia expand their footprint in Africa, this move risks pushing the continent further away, raising questions about America's long-term influence on the world stage.
Our final story is about a fatal crash, a presidential motorcade, and a nation demanding answers. In Kenya, a British national has been killed in an alleged hit-and-run case involving a vehicle from President William Ruto's convoy. The incident has sparked widespread outrage, raising tough questions about VIP motorcades, government accountability, and whether justice will truly be served. Our next report breaks it all down.
A deadly hit-and-run case in Kenya is sparking outrage and raising questions about presidential motorcades. A British national has been killed by a vehicle from President William Ruto's convoy on one of the capital Nairobi's busiest roads. The victim, 79-year-old Edgar Riches, a UK charity worker who had been visiting his family in Kenya. He was hit by a support vehicle at the rear of Ruto's convoy as it travelled to a public event in the capital. Reports suggest Riches was crossing the road when the speeding vehicle struck him without stopping. Witnesses say the convoy was moving dangerously fast through an already congested road. Shocking videos from the scene capture the chaos and distress, bystanders screaming as the lifeless body lay on the road. Other images show Riches covered in a Masai shuka, a traditional checked shawl. A post-mortem confirmed the 79-year-old suffered multiple severe injuries to his head and chest, leading to fatal trauma. Police said the driver was arrested, but he was later released on bail, fueling concerns over accountability. The tragedy has now ignited a public outcry. While Kenyans are accustomed to roads being cleared for presidential convoys, Many now question it on social media. Why was Ruto's motorcade so large? And why was it speeding through a crowded area? Meanwhile, in the UK, tributes are pouring in for riches, remembered as a kind and generous man who spent years raising funds for schools and communities in Kenya. He had been visiting his sister and nephew in the East African country when his life was tragically cut short. But this isn't the first time a presidential motorcade has been involved in a fatal accident. Over the years, civilians and even members of the president's team have lost their lives. Yet, few cases have led to real accountability. Some believe this case is getting more attention because the victim was a foreigner. The UK High Commission says it is closely monitoring the situation and is assisting the victim's family in bringing his body home. But for President Ruto, this comes at a time of rising political chaos. He is already at the center of several controversies in the country. Last year, he was forced to withdraw a controversial tax bill after mass protests swept the country. Now this latest scandal is adding even more pressure on his leadership. Will this case be another forgotten tragedy, or will it finally force a change in how Kenya's leaders move through public spaces? Only time will tell.
And that's it on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.